And a very good Thursday evening to you. I'm FOX54 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Dressman. We've gotten to enjoy a couple of breaks in the cloud cover over the last few hours. That's yielded a little bit of sunshine across the Tennessee Valley over into Cobb County. Still talking about a mostly cloudy or an overcast sky, but again, we have gotten to enjoy a little bit of sunshine over the last couple of hours. And sunshine is something I really feel like we've been lacking in over the last several days. Live look at northbound over Memorial Parkway. We're looking northbound on Memorial Parkway. That's what I should have said. Still talking about a little bit of cloud cover, but overall, we're also looking at a little bit of sunshine. It's going to make for a fantastic Thursday evening. If you have some plans to go out for dinner, you can certainly do that and not really have to worry about a major concern for rain. Now, some of us are looking at a little bit of rain this evening, and some of us are going to look at some stronger thunderstorms as we head into the overnight, but for the next couple of hours, the vast majority of us are going to be dry. And a really nice sky overlooking from the top of Green Mountain this evening. Temperatures currently sitting in the lower 80s, right around 81 degrees. Now, we are just a touch on the humid end of the spectrum, and maybe just a touch is actually downplaying it a little bit. If you are going to be stepping outside this evening, you are going to notice it actually feels quite gross outside. But that humidity is eventually going to go away. And as a matter of fact, it's going to go away sooner rather than later as a cold front moves through the Tennessee Valley. That cold front is going to bring us the chance for some stronger, more marginally severe thunderstorms as we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning. Rain is, of course, something we do not need across the Tennessee Valley. The Huntsville International Airport has seen 218% of what would be considered a normal amount of rain over a 30-day period. What does that mean? Well, if a normal amount of rain over a 30-day period is 5 inches, then the Huntsville International Airport has received all 5 of those inches plus another 118% more. ARAB has seen 276% of what would be considered a normal amount of rain over a 30-day period. Florence has seen 147%, and our friends in Fayetteville up in southern Middle Tennessee have seen 165% of what would be considered a normal amount of rain over a 30-day period. We can kind of break this down and look more at the month of May. And this is what it looks like. We've seen a lot of dry days, or a lot of wet days across the Tennessee Valley. As a matter of fact, we have seen very few dry days. And there's a couple of consistencies here, and these numbers specifically coming from the Huntsville International Airport. We have consistently been dry on Thursdays, and unless we get a couple of scattered showers to develop over the airport this evening, that trend is probably going to continue today. And we have consistently been wet as we head into the weekend. It looks like that's going to change as we head into this weekend, but this weekend also isn't necessarily May. Sunday is also going to be June 1st, so it doesn't really count, I suppose. As we head into the overnight, early into your Friday morning, we're talking about a marginal risk for severe weather. Now, this doesn't include everybody across the Tennessee Valley. This includes our southern and middle Tennessee counties, and for the most part, it includes locations west of the I-65 corridor. It does, however, also include Madison County and a small portion of Jackson County. The biggest concern here as we head into the overnight, definitely going to be the threat for some gusty, damaging winds, wind gusts in excess of 50 or 55 miles per hour. We're also going to be talking about some pockets of heavier rain that could lead to a little bit of flash flooding across the Tennessee Valley. Now, a couple of models were trying to bring in just enough wind shear to include a small tornado threat in this forecast, but the amount of wind shear there is still going to be rather low, so I think the threat for a brief, emphasis here on brief, isolated tornado is still going to remain on the low end of the spectrum, very low. Like I said, the biggest concern as we head into the overnight, definitely going to be the threat for some gusty winds in excess of 50 or 55 miles per hour. And again, we are talking about the concern for a little bit of flash flooding. Like I said, some of us still talking about a little bit of rain this evening. That rain is somewhat hard to come by. A little bit of rain up across southern Middle Tennessee, Morgan down into Marshall counties. We're talking about just a couple of late sprinkles. We are talking about a little more in the way of widespread precipitation back across Jackson County. That activity has been hanging out for about the last half hour, 45 minutes, and it looks like it's going to hang out for a little bit longer. Otherwise, it does look like we are dry across the Tennessee Valley, and for the most part, we are going to stay dry through the duration of the evening, which again, if you have plans to go out this evening, definitely a little bit of good news there. Just bear in mind, we are very much on the humid end of the spectrum. Cold front sits back off to the west. Now that cold front's going to move through the Tennessee Valley during the later part of Friday morning, early into Friday afternoon. On the back side of that cold front is going to be a very different air mass. We're going to say goodbye to the humidity at least for a couple of days, and we're going to say goodbye to the humidity as early as Friday afternoon, and then the lack of humidity sticks with us as we head into the front half of the weekend at least. But at the same time, it's the cold front that's bringing the chance for some strong or marginally severe thunderstorms to North Alabama, southern and middle Tennessee. Here's Futurecast as we head into the earliest hours of your Friday morning. 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, showers and thunderstorms beginning to move into northwest Alabama, Lauderdale, Colbert, and then down into Franklin counties, up across southern and middle Tennessee. And within this, we're going to be talking about the pockets of heavier rain that could lead to a little bit of flash flooding, some gusty winds. And then if we do see enough wind shear, then the threat is going to be there for a brief isolated tornado. Now, at the same time, this has also been a very interesting May across the Tennessee Valley. So I don't necessarily want to count out the threat of wind shear. So I certainly want to make sure we mention that and mention the threat for a very brief isolated tornado. I've asked meteorologist Emily Owen to wake up extra early tomorrow morning to monitor the weather, and if she needs to, give me a phone call. As we head into the middle and later part of the morning, heading into the Friday morning commute, now we're talking about widespread rain across the Tennessee Valley. At this point, I think the threat for any sort of severe weather is going to be over. What we're going to be talking about is widespread rain and a couple of embedded thunderstorms, maybe some gusty winds here. But by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, I think the threat for severe weather is going to have come to an end. 11, 12 o'clock, 11 in the morning, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, we're beginning to dry out across the Tennessee Valley. We're going to begin to lose a lot of that cloud cover through the later part of the afternoon, early into the evening. And from there, we're talking about a clear sky as we head into the overnight, early into your Saturday morning. The front half of the weekend is actually going to be quite nice. Now, some additional cloud cover does build into the area as we head into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, the early part of the overnight, but we're not going to be talking about any rain across the area. A couple of isolated showers are going to be possible as we head into your Sunday. We're going to be dry on Monday, and then rain chances are going to gradually be on the rise as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. Not only are we talking about the chance for some stronger thunderstorms across the Tennessee Valley, but I also think we're going to be talking about the chance for some patchy fog across the area. So bear that in mind as well. If you're not going to be dealing with rain during the morning commute, you might have to deal with a little bit of fog. Morning rain across the Tennessee Valley, but otherwise we are going to be dry as we head into the afternoon. The cloud cover is gradually going to clear. We get to enjoy a fair amount of sunshine to round out the work week. Temperatures climbing into the mid-70s. I've got a high temperature right around 75 degrees. Maybe you'd like to go to the Rocket City Trash Pandas game tomorrow evening. The weather is actually going to be quite fantastic. 69 at 7, 67 by 8, 65 degrees. By the time we get to 9 o'clock, and again, by the time we get to Friday evening, we're talking about a large lack of humidity across the Tennessee Valley. Look at your weekend. Plenty of sunshine on Saturday. We're going to start the day in the mid-50s, 57 degrees. We're going to end the day in the upper 70s, right around 79. Now, the average high temperature for this time of year, right around 86, maybe even 87 degrees. We're not even going to be there on Sunday. Now, we are going to be a little bit warmer on Sunday, but we're not going to be at average just yet. Sunday is, of course, June 1st, 60 degrees Sunday morning, 81 degrees Sunday afternoon. A couple of isolated showers certainly going to be possible. Like I said, Sunday is June 1st. Let's talk about it. The average high temperature is 86. By the time we get to the end of the month, the average high temperature going to be right around 90 degrees. The average low temperature is going to go from 64 to 70. Sunrise, 5:34 to 5:36. Sunset goes from 7:54 to 8:03. Yeah, finally going to be talking about sunset after 8 o'clock in the evening. Now, on average, we don't normally get a lot of rain in the month of June, which is a good thing because I've already shown you that we definitely do not need the rain across the Tennessee Valley. On average, we get right around 4.29 inches of rain. Make sure to stay connected with me on social media. There's my Facebook. It's the best. Chief Meteorologist Dressman, Twitter/X. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram if you want. But I don't really post a lot of weather-related things on the Instagram. Today's question, not exactly something I'm familiar with. Now, I have personal opinions about these things as an avid watcher and follower of college football. Today's question, and I don't know why somebody asked me this, but whatever. I said you could ask me non-weather related questions. How will the NIL and the transfer portal play into SEC dominance? I really should start recruiting Mo Carter to come answer these questions for me. Again, I have personal opinions on the NIL and the transfer portal. I run a little more old school in a lot of ways of thinking, and so I'm probably going to run more old school as far as today's question is concerned. And frankly, I didn't put a lot of thought in today's question, mostly because, and I did text Mo about this one this morning because I was really excited about it. They're making a change to the requirements, or at least attempting to make a change to the requirements for entry into the College Football Hall of Fame, which would get Mike Leach potentially into the College Football Hall of Fame. Something I do have very strong opinions about because I firmly believe Mike Leach should be in the College Football Hall of Fame. Now, again, I have personal opinions on NIL and the transfer portal and how I think it's going to play into not only SEC dominance, but individual school dominance as well. Being an alumni of Mississippi State, that's obviously who I follow. I don't think Mississippi State is going to receive any favors from either of these. As a matter of fact, considering Mississippi State is not the biggest player in the SEC, so I can look at it on a more individual level, and that's where I choose to look at it. And that's, of course, why I'm a fan of Mike Leach and firmly believe that Mike Leach should be in the College Football Hall of Fame, since he essentially invented an entire way of playing the game, and that has resounded beyond generations. So not really an answer to the question. I guess I kind of sort of answered the question, but this isn't really where I'm an expert. Again, I should start bringing Mo in to answer these sports-related questions. If you have any questions, weather-related, non-weather-related, sports-related, non-sports-related, feel free to text them. Again, I should start to bring in an expert to answer the sports-related questions. 256-382-2692. You can text me your questions, or you can head over to my Facebook, again, Chief Meteorologist Dressman, and ask me your question there. Have a good look at the next 7 days. 75 on Friday. There's your weekend. 79, 81 Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures climb as we head into Monday, 83 degrees. And then I've got 85 degrees. That becomes a consistent feature Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week.